What's going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to the video. So no, it's no secret that the Buffs fell short last night against Oregon State. You got to think if they just had a line, right, and they had some opportunities there, they could have scored a few. Could have been a close one. Look, Oregon State is no joke. That is a great football team, but I got to be honest, man. Colorado looked really good, especially on defense. I mean, some hard hits, some big turnovers. Those guys play with some elite speed on defense. I know a lot of people are going to be kind of giving Charles Kelly some heat, but honestly, I think he called a great game for the most part. The offense didn't do the defense any favors. And obviously, moments before the game, about a couple hours before the game, a big change happened where they changed from Sean Lewis to Pat Shurmur for calling the offensive coordinator plays. Now, nobody knew why, what happened. After the game, Coach Prime was asked about it. Somebody asked it in a way it was kind of like a poking question in the sense, like trying to create some drama, trying to, twist the fork a little bit. And Coach Prime wasn't having it. He addresses that. And then a couple of people asked about kind of just his overall opinion about the offense. I think he handles those questions very well. He has a great response about it, including his thoughts on how the offensive line produced. But let's take a listen to that first question from the young man or whoever that was asking kind of, the thoughts on and the reasonings for changing from Sean Lewis, Pat Shurmur. Here's what he said.
Ariel's question a little bit. What did Pat Shurmur give you in your mind that you felt to make that switch that Sean Lewis couldn't?
We're not going to demean Sean Lewis, sir. We're not going to do that. We're not going to take that tone. Sean is a good man. I think he's a good play caller. We just needed change at the time. We just needed to try something else at the time. And that's what we did. And I don't look back on it. I don't second guess myself whatsoever because it's more to it than what you may know. Okay, so let's just trust the process.
So obviously Coach Prime wasn't going to take the bait there, right, and bite down on that, trying to toss Sean Lewis underneath the bus. Even if there is some kind of turmoil, if there's a reason, hey, we're going to end up moving on from Sean Lewis, Coach Prime's not going to take that opportunity to throw Sean Lewis under the bus. He's still professional. He still has a career that he wants to continue on with. And I think he kind of nails it on the head later on in the interview where he talks like, look, we all sit at a table together. Right? We all have an opinion about this. We all discuss this from time to time. Everyone has a thought process on what's being called. The only thing that's really changing here is, Pat Shurmur is going to have more influence on the calls being played, but Sean Lewis is still highly involved with what's going on. But look, when things are not working, you've got to make a change. You've got to see if a different set of eyes will make a difference in the play calling. And I agree with what he said. It's not that big of a deal, but obviously media, we're going to try to spin it in any which way they possibly can to get a story out of it. It is what it is. It's pretty black and white, and I think he handled it well. Then asked again, how was the offense production? How was the play calling? Somebody asked more just like, hey, did you feel that it went better? Were you happy with that? Here's what he had to say.
News. How did you evaluate the offensive play calling today?
It has so much to do, and that's a great question, Ariel. But it's not just that. It's that and execution of the play that's called. It's that and timing of the play that's called. It's that and the thought process behind these things that's called. It's a lot goes behind that. You guys are just seeing what you see. You're missing a whole lot of intangibles that transpired for us to be in this situation right now.
So look, great question. I think everyone's trying to get a gauge of like, hey, are things going in the right direction offensively? Do we feel the play calling was better with the change from Sean Lewis to Pat Shurmur? And it's not just that black and white, right? People like to put this, black and white response on things, but it's more than that. It's executing the plays. It's the offensive line. It's the timing. At the end there, things felt like they were syncing up. The offense started to get a little bit of a rhythm. They were moving better. Shador was getting the ball out of his hand a little bit faster. So the play calling was being a little more conservative in the sense like, hey, let's just get the ball out quickly. Let's continue to move the ball. Let's get it to these weapons. I mean, the weapons on offense are just incredibly fast. You got to get the balls in those guys' hands, and they will make something happen almost every single time. So I think it's just kind of figuring out what's the defense doing, what are they doing, how can we respond, what's our offensive line like. Towards the end of the game there, the offensive line really started to step up and give Shador some more time, and you saw them go down the field and be able to drive. Unfortunately, the defense at that point was just gassed and couldn't get a stop. And Oregon State was able to run the clock out. But all in all, I think he's spot on. Everyone wants a black and white answer. He's not going to give you that. It's not that simple. But defensively, I mean, there's some pros. I think things are turning in the right direction for sure. And then he was asked again, how did he feel about the offensive line production? Does he feel better? Obviously, he criticized him pretty heavily the week prior. Deion Sanders did go down, had to run to the locker room for a little bit because he just kept getting beat up and beat up. We know he was obviously dealing with a little injuries from the prior week. Said he went in, had to get a little bit of a shot to get the energy flowing once again to overcome that injury. I'd imagine he'll probably sit out a lot this week, just like he did last week. Him sitting out doesn't seem to be an issue. He still comes out there and slings the football like nobody's business. And again, just watching that game, man, the guy is extremely talented. And you got to think, if I'm Coach Prime and you're Colorado, and again, for recruits, it's like this team is extremely close. For defensively, for you to shut down a team like Oregon State that has been extremely effective. UCLA, they kept them in check for 2.5 quarters. Same thing with Oregon State. You just didn't have the complementary offense that you had in the first few games against the likes of TCU and whatnot. So if they can get back to those ways, this team will find a rhythm. It's just depending on when it's going to click, obviously. And again, people are going like, oh, this is going to crush recruiting, whatever. I keep saying I disagree, and I think last night proves that at least they're showing progress, right? It's very easy to go make a few steps backwards. He commented on the passion. He felt like the passion still isn't there from some of the players like it was in week one, and that's something that he'll obviously work through as the time goes on. It's very easy to get shut down and not continue to have that same drive you did at week one. Because think about it, TCU comes out, they're the underdogs through and through. Probably one of the biggest underdogs for offseason going into this game. And you find a little bit of a belief that you're getting things done, it's easy to get rolling. Well, since then, they've been punched in the mouth, and how do you bounce back from that? And that's something that you're going to always have to work with and be a challenge with. But we'll continue to keep up with this, guys. A lot of stories I'm sure will be coming out of this Oregon State game. I think it was a hell of a game, played well. You got 3 games left. You got a big one up against Arizona coming at home this coming up week, so we'll obviously start to transition into that game. But be sure to smash the like button, boys and girls, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.